what would you get if a farm sim like Stardew Valley and a game like Grand Theft Auto got together and had a baby? The answer to that is a game called The Ranchers. The Ranchers is an upcoming ranching life simulator set in an open-world sandbox environment where you can farm, craft, build, fish, hunt for bugs, romance the town folks, care for animals, all the usual things you'd expect to be able to do in a farm sim, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Add to that a dose of GTA, and you also get access to exotic cars, guns, hot air balloons, speedboats, an actually bustling city scene. Basically all the tools you need, combined with a little bit of imagination, to either play the game as a wholesome farmer or rancher, or wreak absolute havoc on the entire city and surrounding countryside. And unlike my most recent video on Puff Pal's Island Skies, which isn't available till 2025, you won't have to wait nearly as long to play The Ranchers, as it will be available as early as next year in 2023, with the Kickstarter campaign right around the corner on July 5th, 2022. Allow me to take a second to explain why I'm so excited about this game and why you should be too. The game isn't out yet, so a lot can still change, but to be frank, The Ranchers is not the prettiest game I've ever seen. The characters are a bit silly looking, the animations are still very rough in my opinion, and it's not what I usually look for in a farm sim, which is something that incites that childhood nostalgia of playing Harvest Moon Back to Nature on the original PlayStation on a rainy day while curled up under a blanket. No. What has me the most excited is what the devs are calling their systemic engine, which, put simply, means that everything interacts with everything. The roads get wet when it rains, lowering your traction when driving on them. You can smash through fences with your vehicle, run over chickens, be it accidentally or on purpose, affecting your relationships with those who witness it. And sure, you can cut down trees with an axe like a normal person, or you can ram them with your car to knock them down, shoot them down with an AK-47, or my favorite method, setting fire to a tree and burning it down by igniting a pile of jerry cans filled with gasoline. Leave those logs burning and they'll turn into charcoal, or put them out with a fire extinguisher to collect the logs. Now, replace the tree in any of those scenarios with any other item in the game, including rocks, hay bales, crops, vehicles, animals, NPCs, other players, and yes, even yourself, and you've got one heck of a long list of possibilities of things that you can do or havoc that you can wreak. You might have caught that I just mentioned other players. The Ranchers has been built from the beginning with multiplayer in mind. If you choose to play by yourself, which is absolutely an option, it will not require an internet connection to be played. If you choose to play with others, however, online co-op for up to 4 players has already been tested and is currently the cap. However, up to 6, 8, 12, perhaps even more players might be possible, as they're still testing the limits. If those higher player counts can be reached, however, which I really hope they can, dedicated servers are also something they're wanting to support. Think like GTA Online, but with farming. And speaking of farming, let's talk about the farming and ranching aspects of the game. The player farm is going to be absolutely massive, consisting of 9 plots of land, one of which you'll start out with the other 8 needing to be purchased. On this land, you can grow all kinds of crops and raise a large number of different animals. When it comes to crops, there will be at least 80 in total, 20 per season, which also means that yes, seasons will exist. Within the 20 per season, 10 of those will be quote-unquote regular crops, 5 will be fruit plants, and the other 5 will be trees. There's also 10 confirmed fertilizer types, 6 of which you can see here, and judging by the fact that quality fertilizer exists, it's safe to assume that crops can have various quality rankings as well. And like most farm sims, greenhouses will exist as well. But instead of having just one, you can not only build multiple, but there are also different types, ranging from backyard hobby gardener size, all the way to I own an entire nursery and have the greenest thumb on earth size, aka massive. Once harvested, crops can be used for a number of different things, including being sold, eaten, cooked into one of the more than 30 recipes in a lovely kitchen that you can build yourself, processed into artisan goods, in one of the 10 different buildings dedicated to that purpose, or given as a gift to one of the townsfolk. As for animals, there will be plenty. 5 coop-dwelling animals, including chickens and ducks, as we see here, with 3 different coops for them to live in, 2 of those potentially being pictured here as well. As for barn animals, there are 5, of which I think those include cows, bulls, sheep, goats, and on the left here, horses. There will also be 3 different barns for them to live in, and despite only being able to spot one for myself, I imagine they'll each house a different number of animals. And for all animals, clearly there is a lot of variation within each type, which should lead to some pretty nice looking ranches without too much sameness if you choose to have a ton of animals. There will also be 5 dogs and 5 cats, all of which can be pet, 20 wild animals to hunt, presumably to be used for crafting and cooking purposes, and 20 bugs and 20 fish to catch, all of which will likely be accepted as donations to the local museum. Not exactly original, but I do love myself a good collection, so I'm happy to hear that a museum will be present. Animals, once purchased, won't stay at your ranch forever though. You might have to transport them to other locations from time to time, such as to the vet if they get sick, or into town for an animal show or contest, which will be among the 8 festivals held per year, 2 per season. There's even vehicles specifically designed for transporting livestock, and for your smaller coop-dwelling friends, they can even perch on the back of your bicycle and be transported that way. You can also take your animals to the local farmer's market, presumably to be sold, or to a nearby field once all the wild grass on your ranch has been consumed by your very own animals. If, that is, you want to feed them for free. Or at all, for that matter, because in the ranchers, your plants, your animals, even your relationships can die if you don't take care of them. You've been warned. It's a good thing vehicles exist though, because the world map is absolutely massive, being 16 square kilometers in size, or for my fellow Americans, just over 6 square miles. When traveling from one side to the other, you won't encounter a single loading screen either, which is impressive. When it comes to vehicles, you start out on day 1 with the option to rent a bike for a small fee from any of the numerous bikey kiosks around the map. There are also a ton of other vehicles in the game, including mopeds, delivery vans, jeeps, dirt bikes, high-end exotic sport cars, trucks, vans, rowboats, speedboats, and more. In total, there's 10 standard cars, 5 luxury cars, 5 delivery good vehicles, 5 animal transport vehicles, 5 motorbikes, and 5 bicycles. That's a lot of vehicles. All of these can get damaged though if you don't take care of them and go crashing into everything, but they can be repaired by a local mechanic, or if you happen to specialize into the skills required, can even fix them yourself. They will all also have their own stats such as speed, acceleration, handling, fuel efficiency, and passenger and storage capacity, to name a few. Vehicles like the bicycle will drain your stamina as you ride them, while other vehicles will require either fuel or electricity to function. Compared to on foot or on horseback, being the only 2 transportation options in most farm sims, I am personally loving this variety and depth to the vehicles. And yes, horse riding will also be present. Earlier, when I mentioned you needed to specialize into the skills required to repair your own vehicles, I was talking about the game's skill trees, which seem like they're going to have a massive impact on the game. The only things I've heard confirmed that skills will affect so far are the ability to repair your own vehicles or not, the ability to automate things around the farm, such as the watering of crops, aka creating sprinklers, and the ability to expand your health and energy meters. It's also been said that you will not be able to acquire every skill available, no matter how much time you spend playing. Meaning you're going to have to specialize in something, which I really enjoy. It 1, makes for replayability, and 2, it encourages cooperative play among friends, with each person specializing in different skills. If that weren't enough, skills will also be passed on to your child if you choose to have one, so choose wisely. Before we talk children though, let's back up a bit and discuss NPCs. There will be over 40 NPCs in the Ranchers, 20 of which will be romanceable. There will also be tons of other randomly generated, unnamed NPCs that will serve as pedestrians to make the town/city area feel much more alive, including driving vehicles around town to make the roads feel livelier as well. I don't know the specifics regarding the romance system in the game, but what I do know is that you can talk to and give gifts to the townsfolk, go on dates with those that are romanceable, and eventually get married and have kids if you choose to do so. Spouses will help out around the ranch, each in their own way, and also possess their own set of skills in which your child, once again, if you choose to have one, will inherit. Same-sex marriage will be present, as will the ability to adopt a child, which is something I'm super pleased to see, and am honestly surprised we don't see more often. As of now, however, player-to-player marriage is not in the game, but the devs are hoping to add it after the game releases. If you haven't picked up on it by now, the ability to do pretty much anything you want in this game is a huge focal point of the Ranchers. This includes building your own very house however you see fit, Sims style, or if you're playing with friends, multiple houses. With over 60 housing-related building items, over 100 pieces of furniture, and more than 80 decorative items, most all of which can be customized via a color wheel, the ability to make something you're happy with is limited primarily by your creativity. Just keep in mind that whole everything interacts with everything concept. Don't go driving your car through your house or setting it on fire. Or I guess, do? Who am I to tell you what to do? In order to be able to build the house of your dreams, however, or the perfect house for smashing an exotic car through the front door of, you're going to need resources, some of which, like wood, for example, can be found around your farm. Others, however, will have to be collected from around the world, including from randomly generated islands which you can either swim to or take one of those fancy speedboats to get to. There will also be randomly generated mines and caves filled with over 20 different monster types that you'll have to defeat using either your close range or long range weapons, or even bombs if you're feeling fancy. And while the resources in these mines are going to be essential, if you're not a fan of combat, you can still acquire those essential resources through other means, namely by purchasing them. You'll be able to sell resources not only to NPCs, but also to other players. And if you're playing with others, there will even be a companion app for your phone that you can use to buy and sell goods when you're away from the game. And speaking of a mobile app, let's talk platforms. The Ranchers is currently only confirmed for PC, however, they are just about to launch a Kickstarter campaign on July 5th. And depending on how that goes, they're hoping to get the game on consoles as well, which would include Xbox, PlayStation, and of course, the Switch. I'll have a link to their Kickstarter campaign in the description, and we'll update the pinned comment on this video with new info as it becomes available. There is a ton more about this game that I unfortunately do not have the time to cover in this video, as I'm just days away from moving into a new apartment and I'm trying to get this video out before then. But all in all, The Ranchers looks like it's going to be a ton of fun, especially with a group of friends. If you don't have any of those, feel free to join my Discord server and make some, because this game is definitely one worth making friends for. Is it the prettiest, most polished game to ever exist? No, not at all. Does it look like it's still going to be a blast, though, despite all that? To me, that's a definite yes. Cooperative farm sims were proven to be a ton of fun by Stardew Valley, and just look at how successful GTA 5 is. Marry the two together, and you've got the recipe for one heck of a game. Is it ambitious? Absolutely. But it's been in development for 6 years, and everything you've seen in this video is in-game footage. It's nearing the end of its development lifecycle with something playable, assuming you back the Kickstarter campaign at a tier that includes it, only a few months after the campaign ends. That is very soon. If Kickstarter campaigns aren't your style, or even if they are, I'll also have a link to the game's Steam page down below where you can wishlist it if you choose to do so. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for me today. I'm excited for The Ranchers and will absolutely be keeping an eye on it. If you have any questions, drop them down below, and please don't forget to leave a like if you made it this far, and do consider subscribing for more game news and updates. Your wallet might hate me for it, but you can thank me later. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Until next time, as always, take care.